Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Marvelous Monday. I'm Leslie Watkins. How are you? I hope everybody's well. I'm going to continue today with the autumn leaf theme, and I'm going to show you how you can make a very easy card without a lot of extra tools and equipment. And then I'm going to show you some of the things that I did last week to give you an idea of how far you can take it. And all of the supplies that I use in this video will be posted later today. After I'm done filming, I will post a link so that you can purchase any of these supplies. And there will be a special code, and I will hopefully remember to post this again during the video, but if not, I will put that in the description. And if you use that code when you place an order, you will get a prize from me of a set of embellishments, but it has to be an order of $50 or more. So more on that later, but let's just show you the card for now. I have a piece of soft suede cardstock, and this is just half a sheet of the 8.5 by 11 scored to measure 4 1/4 by 5.5. And then I have another piece of cardstock. This is the very vanilla, and this I'm going to put on the inside so that there's a place where you can write a message. And then for the cover of the card, I'm going to cut out a couple of pieces. So I've got my trimmer here, and let me just make sure that you can, zoomed out all the way. Okay, I guess that's it. I'm using some Daffodil Delight. And checking my settings, make sure we're broadcasting, and I am. Okay. I'm going to cut this at 5 1/4 by 4. And that will give me a piece that is just, oops, measured that wrong. There we go. Okay, these are the measurements. 4 by 4. I'm going to change my design up a little bit. I'm going to use this on the top of the card, leaving a space at the bottom so that we can decorate up here and have our sentiment down here. So for our sentiment, I'm going to measure a piece that is 4 by 1 1/4. And just check that. Got the 1 1/4 by 4. Okay. Okay. Now I also want an area on the inside of this square that's going to measure, I want to leave a little bit of an edge. So I'm going to measure this at 3.5 by 3.5, and for this one I'm using the very vanilla cardstock. And this is not the thick cardstock, this is the regular. Okay, so that way I get that nice little yellow edge around the sides. And then here I'm going to measure this at 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so that's all of our cutting for now. This is the stamp set that I've been using, Gather Together, and it's a wonderful stamp set for this time of year. You've got a maple leaf, some pumpkins, got some grasses here, some texture, and you've got all of these nice sentiments. It also comes with a die set called Gathered Leaves, and these dies have a special 3D embossing on them so that you can get added texture and dimension to your leaves. But for this card, I'm just using stamps, ink, and paper. So here are the stamps, and I'm going to take out this large maple leaf. So these are the photopolymer stamps. You can see through them. After a while, they do get stained with ink, and that's fine. And I'm going to use a sentiment. I think I'm going to use Wishing You Well. There we go. And the last piece of equipment that I have here is my piercing mat. So this is a foam mat that I just have covered in paper to keep it clean. And I'm going to begin with Cajun Craze. And I'm just going to get my sentiment stamped. I'm going to line that up. I'm going to leave a little bit extra space on the left. So there's my sentiment. And then I'm going to take my leaf stamp. This is going to be a very simple and easy card to do, and I'm just going to place this right in the middle of my square. So there's my leaf. And also in this set are these speckles. So I want to grab that one for a little added texture. And I'm just going to put that towards the edge here. So just figure out how it fits best on there, and a little bit on this side. And then I'm just going to put a tiny bit along the top. And a little bit down here. Okay, so it looks like this. And I'm going to do the same thing in the corners of my leaf design. So I'm going to do this in all 4 corners. And then a little bit along here, all around. So that's how that looks right now. We're going to keep working on that. We're not done. Now I have my sponge here. This is 1/4 of a round Stampin' Sponge. These are very inexpensive. You get 3 to a pack, and you can cut them down into fourths, so you end up with 12, and I think they're $3, so that's a really good deal. And all I'm doing is I'm tapping the sponge into the ink, and I'm just flicking around the edges. I'm going to do that on here as well. And then I'm just going to make little circular motions on my pad here and come in on the edges a little bit more to give that a little tone. Same here. So starting on the outside and working my way in, it gives me that nice soft edge. There we go. All right, now I'm taking my Bumblebee ink, and I have a sponge dauber, which I've designated to be my Bumblebee dauber. I only use it for this one color. I'm just going to open this up. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go into the center of my leaf and start adding some color. So I'm just coloring my leaf with this little dauber. And it doesn't matter if you go outside the lines. In fact, that adds a little bit more to the overall design. And I'm keeping it darker in the center and then getting a little bit lighter as I go out to the edges of the leaf. There we go. And then finally, going back to my Cajun Craze now. And this time, I'm also using a sponge dauber. This time, I'm just going to put a little bit where the base of the leaf attaches to the stem, and just kind of radiate out from there. Okay, there. So it's just that simple. Here's my leaf. All right, and now I'm just going to assemble my card. So for my sentiment, let me zoom you in a little bit so you can see better. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a tiny little notch, a little V-shaped notch, one on each side of my sentiment. Okay, so I get something that looks like that. All right, I think you can see that. And now I have my linen thread, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap it around my sentiment 2 times. And that notch is going to help hold it in place. And then I'm tying a double knot. Okay, and I'm just trimming the edges. So I'm not tying a bow this time. This is just a little added embellishment to the sentiment. So there's that. And now for the inside of my card, I have one little bit of stamping that I want to do here as well. So going back to my stamp set, I'm going to take this sheath of grasses here, and I'm using Cajun Craze to match the front. And I'm also going to use those little speckles again. So I'm just going to put those right in the corner. And I'm going to stamp off going away from the corner so it gets softer and softer as I go away. I'll add a little bit more in the very corner there. And here's my grasses. I'm just going to put that at a slight angle, just like so. And inside I want to include another sentiment. So this time I'm choosing this one. Oops, caught my... So glad to have you in my life. Okay, I'm going to check, make sure I have this right side up. And I'm just going to put this, I want to leave room to write. So I'm going to put this towards the top. Okay. And while I have my ink out, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to decorate the flap of my envelope as well. So going back to my speckles, I'm just going to run those across. Like so. And I have my wheat. There we go. Okay. Now I'm just going to clear everything away. And using the Stampin' seal, I'm going to put my sentiment on the inside of the card. Get that nice and straight. I have my bone folder so I can give this a nice crease. And now, before I do that, I want to take, okay, I have to make a decision here. Do I want to add this I was thinking out loud here, do I want to add dimensionals or keep it flat? I think I'm going to keep it flat this time. Get that nice and even on all the sides. There we go. It's a little bit too tight, so I'm just going to trim down these edges because I got it a little bit too tight, and I want some of the, this is going to be tricky to do. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to use my scissors. Okay, I did not measure that well, so we're just going to go with this for now. But I will tell you what it should be in just a second. So if you're going to do this better, this would actually measure an inch, not an inch and a quarter. Okay, so there you have it. And I think what I'd like to do is I'd just like to add a little bit of sparkle to the card. So I've got my gilded gems here. I'm going to take one of these medium ones and just put it next to my knot over there. Okay, so there is a very quick and easy card that's just using stamp, ink, and paper and a little bit of sponging. All right, and here are some of the cards that I made using the dies with this set. So there's that one. I made this cute little treat box that has a surprise inside. It has a little pop out. So when you open this, these little pumpkins pop out. And then we have this very fancy card with all the die cuts, plus the textured embossing folder, and a beautiful pop-up on the inside with all the leaves. So if you're interested in joining my special Gather Together class, where I go into more detail on all of these techniques, you can subscribe to notes at dandelioncottagedesign.com, and I will send you all the information for this upcoming special class just in time for Thanksgiving, so that you can begin to get ready for your celebration. Thank you so much for joining me today. Stay well, stay creative, and I'll see you next time. And once again, here's that code, which I will post below. So if you want to get any of these items and get ready for the class coming up, you can get your order in today.